on Facebook now. There'll be about a 20-second delay. So hey everybody, welcome to another Facebook Live Friday edition. New approach today. We're glad that you're here. New approach being that we're now on Zoom and on Facebook Live. We've got people that have already joined us on Zoom. I've already told them they can ask their questions, and of course for you on Facebook you can do the same. We've got a member of my team, the able-bodied Marissa, who is monitoring there, so she can send questions back to me here on Zoom, where I'm actually living. And in the world that we live in now, I'm saying these words about 20 seconds before you're hearing them on Facebook. But anyway, welcome today. We're going to talk today about our workload and how we manage our work when we're remote. And it's different for some of us. So I've got 3 or 4 things I want to talk about, and talk about whatever else you want to talk about as well. First thing, though, is that what often happens for people who are working remote is they end up working more. They're not necessarily getting more done. Sometimes they are, but they're working more time. And the first thing I want you to do is to make sure that you build some working rhythms. So if you are just starting to work remotely, what you need to do is figure out some routines so that you don't bleed, especially at the start of your day, so that you don't bleed from waking up to going right into work. And then when did I do the other stuff I needed to do? And then when did I start working? And did I have a break between the two? Same at the end of the day. So end of the day is pretty easy. Close the laptop and go on with the rest of your life for a while. Hopefully that will work. Now, so routines is what I want you to think about, which means that do the stuff you would normally do in the morning. Please do take your shower and those things. Do all the things you would do in the morning. Some people I know like to take a run or a walk or something in the morning. Do those things and say, now I'm going to go to work. And you may be able to go to work sooner than you did before because you don't have a commute. That's fine. But you need to be clear about when you're starting and when you're stopping, because if you don't, you'll just keep working. Now, remember that I am saying we're working. We're not necessarily getting a lot accomplished. I was working with a group today on a Zoom meeting with a whole group of a team. And one of the things they said was, I'm looking at the end of my day. I'm not sure what I actually accomplished. So that tells me that I'm being busy, but not necessarily getting the right things done. So I'd like you to focus on accomplishment and not activity. And a lot of times once we're at home and perhaps our office space is at the end of the dining room table. And so it's really hard to separate those things. I want you to separate, and then I want you to focus on accomplishment and not just activity. The B word, busy, is a 4-letter word, just so you know. A lot of folks who are new to this remote stuff as well will say, man, I'm just getting screen fatigue. I'm just looking at the screen all day long because my work is on the computer. And so I'm doing that. And I just want to say to you that if you're experiencing that, you're not alone. And what you must do is take a break. You must take breaks. And I'm going to take a break right now and say that if you're with me here on Zoom, and there are a whole bunch of you here, if you've got a question, just use the chat button and send me that question, and we'll go from there. Oh, we've got someone who's joined me. She's right here with me live. Do you have a question you want to ask me? Because right now you're live to the whole wide world. You want to ask me a question? I'm going to unmute you. Okay.
I don't have a question just yet.
Okay. Well,
but I am using the background feature on Zoom. If anyone's curious, there are some cool backgrounds.
Yes, you are really not. You are really not out there in the
space.
In space. Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off your camera because you don't really necessarily want the whole world to see you on Facebook. So, right? I mean,
it's fine.
You're lovely. I loved it. It's fine. But I'm going to do that. But if you've got a question, let me know and I'll let you come back live. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I think I can turn off your video. I did. All right. So that's just a little clue about how this stuff works. And it's really great. Technology is amazing. as long as we learn how to harness it. So back to taking breaks, before I get into that topic for a second, what I want to tell you is, if you have questions, send them to us, let us know, and we'll take them. So we were talking about screen fatigue, people being on the screen all day. I actually was in a conversation this morning with someone that said, I'm on too many Zoom calls a day, Kevin. I just can't handle all of that. Listen, everybody, you need to take breaks. And in the office, you probably took some, even if you didn't think about it. You walked down the hall to see somebody, you went to the restroom, which was down the hall, and that was a bigger shift than when you go to the restroom, which is 7 steps away from you in your house. So you need to take breaks. You need to time your breaks. So if you're a person that really does get focused in, and can't seem to break away, then get a timer, put a timer on your phone, put a timer on your Alexa, put a timer on your watch. I don't care. And 60 to 75 minutes is a pretty good time. Then you can take a 5 or a 10-minute break. And what kind of breaks should you take? If you're at home with your children, by all means, that'd be a good time to have a break with them. So let them know. And of course, you have different ages of kids, but listen, Dad's going to take a break in 75 minutes. When that timer rings, then come in and we can have 5 minutes. I can check in with you on what you're doing, maybe redirect them on what they're doing, give them a hug or whatever. And it starts to train them in the same sorts of way. If they're doing their e-learning, whatever they're doing, they can get back, you can get back, and they know that that's when they can talk to you. So that's one of the things for the break, might be with your kids. Another one might be, I had a client today said, well, she's doing yoga because she doesn't want her back to have an issue, which is also fine, right? And but I'm not a yoga person. But maybe you could just do stretches. Get up off of your chair, out of your chair, and do some stretches. I won't bore you with them here. Another thing is, I had 2 members of my team yesterday in Slack, our instant messaging tool, saying, going for a run. It's a beautiful day. Be back in 40 minutes. So as a leader, I'm all in with that. And hold on, I'm going to mute that person. I'm going to come to you in a second. So if you have a question for me, I'm going to unmute you in a sec. So, if you're a leader, let people do that. And if you're a worker, give yourself the ability to do that, because chances are you need it. Now, I don't want you to be a slacker and not work all day, but that's really not likely the case, right? And so go for a walk, go for a run, get out of your house, get some water, do all the things that you know you ought to do on that break, okay? I'm going to unmute someone. No, I'm not, because they're, right there. So there was a person that tried to speak a minute ago. You are unmuted if you had a question for me. M. Clark. Yes, no?
Nope.
Okay, well, hello, and I'm glad that you're here. So I'm going to mute you again. Okay, so now, here's another phenomenon that's going on in the world right now around the work remotely, is that this could be different in your experience. A lot of people are working from home and they are super, super busy. There are other people that are working from home and they're not as busy because their work, some of the output of their work has been changed or been disrupted by everything related to the pandemic. So what I would encourage you to do, if you're working on a team where you know there's a big difference in terms of how much work people have, to be willing to offer help and ask for help, depending on which side of that scale you're on. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to offer help. It's really going to help the whole team. It's probably going to have greater benefits than just getting the work done. So I'd encourage you to do that. And if you are in a situation where you have less work, make sure you're talking to your leader, your supervisor, to find out what they might have to be thinking about in terms of priorities. Be thinking about some projects that maybe have been put on the back burner that you might suggest that come back to the front burner. But know that leaders, and I'm talking to many every day, are sometimes challenged with figuring that out in terms of how to use you best in this time, if things are a little light and all of those things. But the more that you can do to make yourself to be seen as I'm focused on the bigger picture of the team's work and not just my work, the better it'll be for the team and for the organization, and in terms of how you'll be seen as well. So I don't see any questions that have come in for me. Oh, maybe I now do. Let me just see. All right. Someone says, I heard a virtual meeting best practice today that take pauses to allow for talking and speaking, like you taking a sip of a hot drink. Yes, so I do often. Thank you. Take a sip of a hot drink. And so I will tell you, if you're leading a meeting, that's a great way to get people involved, is say, hey, what are your thoughts? What do you all think? And then you literally take a sip or whatever. And what that does is it slows you down and it gives people a chance to get in. So that's very true. So taking more pauses virtually is going to be helpful for the whole group. You'll get less interruption where people are talking on top of each other. So thank you, Laura, for that. That is a great tip. So that, I think, gives us what we were going to do today. We've gone about 10 minutes. We've answered some questions about your working rhythms and what you might need to do a little differently when you're working remotely. I hope these things have been helpful. We'll be back next week, Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do the same thing where we're on Zoom and Facebook. So you can join us either place. We'll post the Zoom link on Facebook. We'll have a link in some of our communications on Monday as well. And quite honestly, it'll be the same link. So if you got this link and you're here, you can join us back at the same one on Monday night. Thank you all for being here. Have a great weekend. Remember, if you haven't seen it, you can certainly go to our COVID-19 resources site for all remote leaders and remote team members, kevineikenberry.com/COVID-19, COVID-19. And as I'm just about to wrap up, I think I have another question. So give me 1 second. And there it is. Yes, it's in the Zoom. It's been clicked. That has been posted in the Zoom if you're there. So thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful weekend. And as I'm starting to end all of these, I'll do it the same way. Be well, be safe, be remarkable. We'll see you all next week.